Okay, we are live. We're very excited to have this webinar to share some really neato things. So we're going to just stall for a minute or two to allow the late joiners to join us. During that time, I will introduce our speakers today. So today we're going to talk about enrollment, the Enrollment Growth Lab. So we don't do a lot of show and tells on our product, and probably we should do more of them. So I'm excited to dig into what we've created with Virtual Advisor. And joining me today is Sasha Tides. She's our CRO analyst. She's heavily involved in product development and is kind of our expert on the reporting side of this. And then our mystery guest later will be Cheyenne, and she's going to share with us some of the AI features in the product. So before we get going, though, we would love to do a poll to understand a little bit about what's on the mind of the attendees here. So one of our behind-the-scenes people is going to fire up a poll for the group. There we go. So help us figure, we just want to understand kind of where your minds are at. So there's 3 questions on this. The first, what's the hardest part of your enrollment funnel to get visibility into? Is it ads? Is it lead quality? Is it admissions? Is it general ROI? Where do you feel your CRM leaves you guessing? And what solutions you currently use? So we'll just give this a minute. And while folks are filling out the poll, so for those of us, so we should have a lot of clients on this call, so welcome, or hey, we're really glad you're here. If we have some new people to the call, so if that's the case, Enrollment Resources, hopefully you know a bit about us. We do our very best to help schools practically increase enrollment through technology, through our virtual advisor platform, and through some services, website development, and paid search primarily. And we've got wonderful clients all over the US and Canada, and have been doing this for an awful long time. My name is Shane Sparks. I'm the founder and CEO, and joined by my colleagues. So we'll just give this poll another minute, another few seconds. Sasha, what are you most excited to share today?
I don't know. It's all pretty good.
They're all pretty good. Okay, here we go. We got some responses so far. Okay, so enrollment funnel. What ads are producing result? Great. We're going to speak to that today. Lead quality. What's creating enrollments? We're going to speak to that today. We're going to talk a little bit of admissions follow-up. CRM, where does your CRM leave you guessing? Okay, channels that drive conversion a little bit. Keyword level enrollment data. Great. We're going to talk about that. It's a new feature in the product we're really excited about. Bit about student barriers, real-time lead behavior. Great. We're going to talk about that. We got some Excel users. Most of us are using a CRM and BI and data visualization. Hey, we got some really advanced class kind of people. Awesome. Here's what we know about the general pain points of our market, of the clients we talk to. And this is based, Sasha, this is research you did to kind of understand, where are the disconnects, where are the pain points, and how can we build tools that will help solve these problems. CRM marketing data disconnect. Most of our clients find frustration in that they can't really get the answers they want out of their CRM. And as good as our CRM partners are, our friends at the various options out there, there's still some frustration in making sense of that to create actionable decisions. Cost per enrollment blindness, it's a huge one too. Many of our clients, are making decisions based on what we view as kind of more superficial metrics like cost per lead, where they're indicative KPIs, but they're not really the end result kind of KPIs we want. So we're going to share how we can track things more on a cost per enrollment basis to help you spend money more prudently. And then manual data. There's so many people are doing pivot tables in Excel and spending hours and hours to create manual reports because they can't get the information they need. So for us, as we were visualizing this product and where we should be going with Virtual Advisor, those are the kind of things that were on our minds. And for us, the North Star in product development is the tools we build help us compete and be more effective in the marketing services kind of work we do, right? And so we found with having a kind of a guiding principle for development, it keeps us really practical on the stuff we're building. So we're not just spinning out features for the sake of features, but we're building it so the team can help beat the competition, right? And so later on, Cheyenne is going to share a bit of that on SEO strategy. So in our product roadmap, and I just to set up this talk, Virtual Advisor has been a lead acquisition tool. This is what it's been historically, meaning powers forms and quizzes and landing pages and integrates with the CRM and has gets the data to the admissions reps efficiently so that we can both generate more leads and generate leads that are more likely to enroll. That's been the mandate of the product. We've added a reporting feature that I'm going to share with you in a sec that helps us understand, okay, how's our website performing? How's our advertising performing? And what can we do? What are actionable things that we can learn from that to like optimize and improve those campaigns? That reporting feeds into a prospect intelligence view. Prospect intelligence is kind of an evolution of the lenses feature in the previous version of our product. And this is AI-powered insights to help us really understand who our market is, right? Who are the human beings that we're trying to help and support? And, what is it that is on their minds so that we can create marketing that is more targeted to what their pain points are. And where that feeds in, which is the really cool thing, is into the AI Studio. So we've launched a beta on some AI tools. What differentiates us from, say, just a generic ChatGPT is that the prompts in the AI Studio are informed by what we know from the improved reporting and from the prospect intelligence. So we're able to connect the kind of mechanics of how you're getting leads with the human beings that you're trying to help in order to power AI tools that are more targeted and relevant to the market you're serving. I can't see anyone. Show of hands. Hopefully that makes sense. But wait, there's more. There's one other really cool thing, and this is a future feature, but this is something I'm personally very excited about. There's opportunity to then also take admissions interview data, right? Those interviews, and then learn from that and dump that into the prospect intelligence view. So, in the near future, our goal is to be able to take the transcripts or recordings from actual interviews and use that as a kind of voice of customer way to derive insight into what's on the mind of our prospects and feed that into prospect intelligence. We're not there yet, but it's a really cool kind of future. Sasha, did I do okay?
Great.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to jump into a product show and tell. Sorry, I'm going to do a brief one, and then Sasha is going to walk us through some scenarios on how to real world problems and how to use the data in the reporting system to answer those. So just quick context. So if this is your website, our product powers quiz, powers forms, powers this little bar at the bottom. This we call a crowbar. It's a call to action bar. powers landing pages, paid search landing pages, powers contact us forms and apply forms, and any way that you could possibly try to get a lead into your system, virtual advisors powering all that. And then what happens is that feeds into our system here. So here's the back end of virtual advisor. These are, this is a demo account, but these are all the leads that come in. Hey, there's Sterling. He's, filled out a form. But here's where it gets super exciting. So this view, this acquisition view, now represents a system to be able to look into how everything's performing. So we have and I'm gonna highlight a few kind of things I think are most interesting about this, and then Sasha will weigh in. Sorry, I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions, there's a Q&A tab on the Zoom little bar there. So if you have any questions, please just type them in there, either in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will answer those as we go along. And we've earmarked some time at the end as well for your Q&A. So here we go. One of the things that is most, I think, useful is we're now able to tie in enrollments against leads. And so for report, and that's really I think the difference maker. Because if we understand, okay, what's actually producing a return on this, it gives us way more insight into what tactics we should be leaning into more. So in this overview, this just sort of represents in a 30-day period, total prospects in, how many of them requested an appointment, how many interviewed, how many enrolled. And then we can see breakdown of traffic by paid search and organic and direct traffic and anything else. We can look at channels and campuses and programs. But one of the most, I think, interesting views here is the lead volume by time of day. So in this little heat map graphic, we can see when leads actually come in. So most, and here, and we can change it by time zone. So if we're in a different time zone, it would change here. What this gives us insight into is where we should be staffing people, right? Like, Sasha, I think we're seeing often the leads are clustering in times of day that are not staffed at the campus level. And so what in this example, most of the leads are coming in the evening. Most schools staff from kind of 9 to 5, right? And are missing opportunities to connect with prospects because they're coming later in the day, right? Which would be affecting contact rate, which would then affect every part of the funnel. So this is a view clients are finding pretty interesting. And then it's just an overall view to see at the campus level in a simple way, what programs are producing the most leads. We've got a view of it here. On the website side, if we're just looking at how that website is performing as a marketing asset, for us, the best kind of metric for whether a website's succeeding or not is simply this conversion rate number. And what that means is it's basically just leads divided by traffic or unique visits. So in this example, we're converting at 7% or 7.1%. 7.1% is a great number. Like anything over 4.5, we consider pretty good. So what that tells us is that, okay, great, this website is effective at converting visitors into a lead. And it's an effective tool to create enrollments because we're, against 500 prospects producing 50 enrollments, it's 10%. Great. Like those are healthy. And so as we're trying to figure out, okay, where do we spend effort, right? Like what effort's going to generate the best return on investment? In this example, we say, oh, hey, this website's doing pretty good. Maybe we want to try to drive some more traffic, but this thing is a pretty effective little lead machine. Similarly, on Google Ads, this view, the biggest KPI, the one that really matters the most is simply cost per enrollment, right? we're spending money. Google's, extracted from this example, $140,000 in ad spend, right? It's produced a bunch of leads. It's produced a bunch of clicks that have produced a bunch of leads, and we have a conversion metric and a cost per lead here, enrollment rate. But what ultimately matters is for every dollar we spend on advertising, what's our return in revenue, right? And so understand being able to track this on a cost per enrollment basis and see that at sort of at a glance is extremely, clients are finding extremely helpful. And then we can, of course, dig in on what channels are producing it, which campaigns which landing pages are producing the best result, etc. So this stuff's pretty cool. And for us, the gap we're trying to identify is where you're not currently being served by the CRM. So what data can we provide that augments what's in the CRM to help you make better decisions? Another feature that's really cool in the product is this calls feature. So we use a product or a service called CallRail that we use on landing pages. So it's just a tracking number. So a portion of prospects will just phone the tracking number versus fill out the form on the landing page. And all those calls get captured and recorded here. So same idea, we get clusters of heat maps so we can see when those phone calls are coming in, which may help with staffing allocations. And then also every one of those calls is recorded and scored. So as an admissions leader, if you're trying to understand, okay, how are we doing on first point of contact? This is a very easy way to be able to audit inbound calls and make sure that whoever's handling those calls is kind of following your systems or like doing a reasonable job, right? So we're not leaking any leads at this end. I love this view. In the demo, it doesn't, things trail off just because we haven't updated the demo. But what this year-over-year performance view does, and depending on how far data you have, you can go back farther. In our demo, we just have 2 years. What this does is it allows us to look at a glance at how we're performing over time, right? So we could say, okay, in this example, hey, lead flow has been kind of in decline in the last few months, or we can look at enrollments and hey, this is changing. We can look at, is it clicks, PPC clicks that are causing that, or is it PPC leads that are dropping off, or is it, cost per enrollment's going up, which is impacting our ability to generate more leads because, the costs are getting higher and we're running out of budget. What's our spend been over time historically? What's our paid search conversion rate been? Is it web traffic? Is it web leads? Is it web conversion rate? Like these kind of metrics along the top here are the main ways that main considerations we would be concerned about on, okay, what's affecting performance in a campaign. And and it all kind of hinges around enrollments, right? So if enrollments are going up, then great. How do we know why they're going up? Is it that we're more efficient on paid search? Is it our website's converting better? Is it that our enrollment rate's better? Is it just generally more leads? If they're going down, same question. So like, is it an efficient way to see how things are performing over time? This is a really powerful view. I think the thing that is most revolutionary though, and this is the view that we're so excited about, and this, Sasha, you were heavily involved in this part of it, and this was a bear of a problem to solve, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was extremely tricky. Is to understand is that we've been able to connect cost per enrollment against individual keywords in Google. So what this Google Ads keyword view does is it tracks not only clicks, the money we spent that generated the clicks, which generated the leads, and this cost per lead, which we already have, but it can extend that all the way through to enrollment. So we see the interviews and the enrollments and the enrollment rate, et cetera, and the overall cost per enrollment by keyword. For us, this one is the game changer in terms of better ROI on paid search, right? Google is a monster, is a money-sucking monster, right? And that's built its whole business around opacity and trying to make it as hard as possible to get visibility into what's really going on. So we get reliant on them and their algorithms to like generate, run the majority of the campaign. And they just want to drive costs up. And that's historically what has typically happened. So in this view, we can say, hey, great, what would be a good example here? So sure, this certified medical training, just as an example, if we're measuring on a cost per lead basis, say, oh, that's a $2,000 cost per lead, that sucks. We got to kill that one, way too expensive. But as we measure it on a cost per enrollment basis, say, well, okay, it only produced 2 leads and both of them enrolled. So, hey, maybe that's a highly targeted keyword that actually is producing a decent return for us, right? So this view helps us be less superficial about how we manage things. And it can also help us refine keyword lists so that we stop spending money on stuff that's not doing anything for us. So now in this demo, it's a 30-day view. This isn't a big enough view and it's not accurate, but guaranteed 10% of your keywords are doing nothing but costing you money, right? They're just a waste of money. They're just advertising noise. This view allows us to identify those, say, okay, we're spending thousands on stuff that does nothing for us. So over a period of 6 months or a year, where you can give time for leads to make their way through enrollments, this will allow you to take more of your budget and redeploy it in things that are more practical and produce a return for you. Is there anything else? I'm going to pause there for a second. Just I'm mindful of time here. Sasha, did I miss anything important? Anything super critical that clients are loving?
Well, I just wanted to point out too that you can get pretty granular with this stuff too. It's not just like overall. We can filter by um program, for instance, or campus or age group. So if you're having a problem with a particular program, for example, by filtering it, you can get very granular and pinpoint, and all in real time again.
Right. Yes.
I
Thanks
just
for
wanted to point that out. Yeah.
catching. Yes, that's right. Good point. So all these views can then be filtered by not only stage of the funnel. So we can say, hey, let's just look at the people that are enrolling or interviewing, but also by program or career field. So, basically healthcare clusters of programs or campus or individual age groups. So, hey, we want to target this group and what's kind of true about those folks. Great point. Okay, Sasha, this is all very interesting and everything, but how do we make this practical, right? You're going to help us walk through some real scenarios, how a client may use this data to like solve a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've set up 3 scenarios, just kind of mock superficial stuff, but based on challenges that our clients have, a lot of our clients have. And I just wanted to point out too that we have heard, so most of our clients, and the people we serve, it's not like they don't use enrollment attribution in their marketing because either they just like simply can't do it. They can't access the data needed to make the connection between your marketing efforts and enrollment. For instance, maybe an agency is coveting their information, or simply, yeah, it would just be a logistical nightmare. It would just take way too long. Um, yeah, so these scenarios just kind of point out like how having access to that enrollment data and that level of granularity can really help you make smarter marketing decisions, and define your strategy. So
Wonderful.
First one,
Well,
sorry.
yeah, so first one, hey, we got to cut budget, right? Good news, marketing. You have $25,000 less per month to spend, but we don't want enrollment to be affected. That seems tough, hey?
Um, I don't have access to this to the.
Oh, yes, here, sorry, there you go. There you go. There you go. You now have
Okay, thank you.
slides.
Yes. Yeah, so nope, still can't. There we go. Uh, you would normally just try to make these decisions based on data you would see in Google AdWords, for instance. So you have your clicks, so your volume, your total spend, prospects, so your leads, and your cost per lead. So the strategy here is to, cut expensive keywords with minimal impact on lead volume, right?
Mhm.
So using this data, it appears that the first one, it's a great keyword, low cost per lead, high volume. Let's keep that one. Our worst keyword in this view would be number 3, certified medical assisting. Uh, Very high CPL, low volume. Let's axe that one.
Mhm.
We still got another, I don't know, 13K to cut here. So our second worst keyword that would meet those requirements would be the second one, medical assistant, high cost, high CPL. Let's axe that one.
Yeah.
We have achieved our goal of cutting budget while maintaining minimal impact on lead volume. The problem with that approach is that leads don't always translate to enrollments. So as Shane pointed out, we have the ability to see keywords with enrollment data. And so when you have access to the full picture, it's pretty obvious that we would be cutting the first keyword. We'd be using, instead of using a CPL and lead volume, we would use CPE and enrollments. And in that case scenario, we would cut the first one and the last one. So here the strategy is to um, cut expensive keywords that don't produce, or sorry, cut expensive keywords with minimal impact on enrollment. So we've only lost 3 enrollments here, whereas in the first case, we would have lost 14.
Wild. What would the cost have been? Yeah, no, sorry, the cost of the school. If if you're basing it on CPL versus cost per enrollment on that next slide, you said 4 enrollments versus 14. Right? So the losing strategy would have cost 14 enrollments, so times whatever your tuition is. The winning strategy would have eliminated a bunch of waste in the budget and you would have impacted only 4 enrollments.
Yeah, and moreover, when you have enrollment data, you can predict that impact, right? If you don't have the enrollment data, you really have no idea what's going to happen in terms of enrollments, right? You're just kind of making a guess.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Powerful. So this would, uh, in that example, create much better decision making.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Hmm. Another scenario, market share battle. This one's about,
Oh, yeah. Okay. So can I set this one up?
please go for it.
Sure. So you're selling a commodity program in a competitive market, which is true for a lot of the people on the call today, right? So you've got, I know, medical assisting, and there's 8 other schools that are all fighting for the same prospect, right? So it's an advertising turf war. And you're losing market share to some competitor, right? Somebody's, I don't know, cracked the code a bit better than you, and that medical assisting prospect, you're only buying from one school, right? And it's not yours currently. So you're going to share how we could reveal untapped student segments, which is what, find an angle to win on advertising.
Yeah, so stop fighting harder for the same prospects as your competitors, basically, because it's a hard game to win.
Yeah, yeah, nice.
Yeah, and as we all know, the more competition means more cost. Your ad costs will go up because everyone else is competing for the same keywords and the same audience. Um, Example scenario. So, if you didn't have um, enrollment data or like custom market research, one strategy could be to conduct market research or hire out, like invest in market research, to figure out exactly who your prospects are. Um, in this example, the research came back. They're young, they're recent high school grads, and they're price sensitive. Makes sense. So we should probably highlight things like financial aid and make sure that our ads are targeting this audience. And to compete, we could also maybe ramp up our bids on our quote best keyword. So let's double bids on our best keyword. So we're spending more money and we're changing our messaging. Um, the problem with this approach again is that you're now targeting the exact same audience. You're likely targeting the same audience as your competitors because they're doing the same thing, and you're using the same keywords as your competitors. So it's going to get more expensive and likely won't translate to more enrollments directly, like in a 1-to-1 ratio kind of thing. Yeah. If we have the full picture in terms of enrollments and keywords, and instead of relying on traditional market research or hiring out to get like a information about the broad audience as a whole, um, a more targeted approach would be to use your own market research about your specific prospects as opposed to the whole pool, that we can get more granular. One way to do this obviously is surveys, collect a bunch of survey data about your prospects. But this kind of information is built right into VA. I think Shane will go over it later in some slides
Yeah,
yeah. But yeah, so we can get demographics and psychographics and a bunch more that I'm showing here. Just a bunch of information about our specific or our prospects for specific programs, slice and dice how we want it. So in this mock scenario, it comes back, no, our prospects are actually middle-aged. They mostly have college degrees. Their top motivation is better pay and their top barrier is work. That totally makes sense because, these people have established careers, they have families. Um, yeah. So it's very different than what traditional market research.
much different market. So in the
Yeah,
previous scenario, what the CPL would tell us is, hey, let's target this, or what the superficial understanding, let's target these young folks. This is saying, hey, there's a very different sales proposition.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And then in terms of like advertising and budget stuff, when you have the full picture, doubling your bids on, first keyword there, medical assistant school, doesn't really make sense because it's got a low enrollment rate and it's got 3 enrollments. Not the best strategy. So instead, you could use like this new information that we have about our target audience to uh, target more niche, less competitive keywords based on, who they are. For instance, I don't know, flexible medical assistant programs near me, or like evening classes uh, for medical assistant programs, stuff like that. So
Sure. Yeah, and
sorry.
it would affect keyword choice, it would affect advertising, landing pages, basically the whole pitch
Yeah.
would be different than the current trajectory, which would result in what?
Well, you'd have a higher enrollment rate because you'd be speaking to the prospects like on their level, and you wouldn't be competing with your competitors for the same stuff.
Yeah.
So your costs would go down, right?
Yeah. So that, oops, sorry. Which gets us here. don't know.
I don't know if we're both controlling
We
this.
both are, yeah, we're
Okay.
both, yeah, so hey, we're the losing strategy, we're fighting harder for the same thing, and it's rising costs and declining efficiency. The winning strategy, we pivot to a new market, lower costs, higher conversion rates, just better, more efficient way to target campaigns.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you don't have all the resources in the world.
Nice. Okay, we got about 3 minutes, and then we got to move on to the next thing.
All right. Okay. Last scenario. You want to grow, you want to throw some resources, you just don't know where to throw them. As a marketer, the question becomes, what channel or sources do we invest our time and money in?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, this is the kind of data you would get from Google Analytics. So you would probably try to ramp up channels that are high volume and have a high visitor to lead conversion rate. So here, Google Ads, let's throw some more money at this guy, high volume, high conversion rate. Um, and then, organic search, we do pretty well. We get a lot of traffic from Google, and it's a high conversion rate. Let's hire an SEO specialist. Just an example.
Yep.
When you have the full picture, you, instead of using conversion rate and lead volume, you would use enrollment rate to make these decisions. So here we see that our best converting channels and sources would be organic search and email marketing.
Okay, yeah.
And in particular, in organic search, our AI sources are performing the best, which kind of makes sense because it's um, do very specific.
Yeah.
So instead of hiring just an SEO specialist, we might hire an AI SEO specialist or whatever they're called, the ones that do AEO and GEO. And email marketing, a channel that we ignored before because we saw that it had low volume and a low conversion rate, actually has the highest enrollment rate. So let's hire an email marketing specialist.
Yeah. Or channel energy there, right? Or what like one of the major currencies we have is just time, right? And so if we're not sure where to spend time and energy, it kind of represents waste.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. So the
Yeah.
losing strategy, hey, we basically doubled down on the wrong thing. And in this example would produce it's still great growth, but 82% growth, which on the surface looks like a win, right? Hey, 82% up, we're winning. But if this was optimized based on enrollment, understanding where the enrollments are happening, produce double that, right? Theoretically. So this losing strategy, it's kind of the worst case scenario because the losing strategy appears to be a winning strategy because the result gets better. But the real cost was the winning strategy would have been double the loser. And impossible to know at the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. I'm going to take control back of this thing. So, boop. Okay. Here we go. So we have another poll, which is going to be fired up. Here it is. Prospect intelligence. Which barriers do you hear most often from prospective students? Okay. Financial, time, life, circumstance, uncertainty, or fear. Just we got about 20 minutes left, so we got a bunch to get through still. So just another 20 seconds to fill this out, and we'll tell you what we understand. Okay, results. Hey, financial, time, or what's the order? Financial, life circumstances, time, uncertainty, fear doesn't even factor in. Great. Here's what we know from our research with prospective students. That financial, 100%, that's the number one barrier, time's the number two barrier. But a close third is life circumstances. And a major theme that comes up a lot is this one, uncertainty and fear. And we don't spend a lot of time speaking to it. And it's, uh, we should. So one of the ways that we know that is through this view, this what we call prospect intelligence view within here. So where this comes from is primarily through the career training readiness quiz. So we use, the data we get out of that helps us understand who the prospects are. And so this new view gives us different ways to kind of slice and dice that up a bit. So overall, we say, hey, our prospects are amiable personalities. They're kind of 35 to 44. They're motivated by interesting work, and their barrier is they're working, right? That's the challenge they have. And then we can dig into it more based on age group. So we can see, okay, what is the age of our prospects, and how does that shape up on a distribution curve? Do their motivations change over time? So this demo data isn't super accurate, but what a story we often see is that what's motivating that recent high school grad, which would be often interesting work, is different than what motivates the 25 to 34-year-old, right, who wants now advancement, or the 35 to 40 wants advancement. And it's kind of, there's often an interesting arc in that it starts with, I want to do something interesting to me, becomes, I want to be able to go somewhere. I want to move up in the world. And then as our prospects get older, it reverts back to, I want to do something interesting, right? Which it kind of makes sense. But so if we're using the same marketing language for this 18-year-old as we're using for the 45-year-old, as we're using for the, the older worker, right? The 55 to 64-year-old or beyond, we're kind of missing an opportunity to speak to the real person. And it's kind of been our contention, and I think driven a lot of our CRO activities, like that conversion rate optimization. One of the reasons we're really, really good at it is we have always made a sincere effort to understand the human being who we're trying to help, right? And the challenge marketers often have is they focus on demographic things. We're going to target females between this age and that age that are socioeconomically this, right? It's like there's these superficial ways of categorizing people. And our contention is career schools in particular, like we're in the human being business, right? We're in the human potential business. And those are not well represented by demographic things. They're represented by psychographic things. So for us, this view is really important because it helps us, like, it's really a voice of customer kind of exercise, right? It helps us understand, okay, who are the people, what is true for them, right? And is what's true for all our prospects different than our cosmetology prospects or our dental assisting prospects, right? Like, and so this understanding of, who they are and their barriers and what's motivating them, right? What is it that is driving their decision making, and is the decision making of prospects different than that of enrollees, right? So in this example, prospects want interesting work. That's what's kind of pulling leads, but really the ones that are enrolling, they want better money, right? They're looking for really opportunity. So then is the story more powerful around interesting work, or should we be focusing on opportunity? Anyway, this stuff's cool. What this ultimately leads into is our colleague Cheyenne Knox is going to talk about. Because ultimately, what this feeds into is a whole AI strategy that I hope will knock your socks off. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and Cheyenne is going to share, and she's going to give us an example of how we're using AI to improve on SEO. SEO slash GEO slash whatever the other one's called. Is it AEO?
Mhm.
Right. So the search engines, the AI engines, and then whatever the AEO was stands for, I forget.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you all through a couple of our tools. I'm going to walk you through our article generator, our email campaign and our image generator. The neat thing with this is Studio's been designed to basically, you could craft all of your marketing campaigns out of it. So you can do a little bit of everything. I've already kind of pre-built some things out just for the sake of time. So I'm going to walk you all through our blog post builder first. So a couple things I want to point out, depending on where your school is located, if you have schools in Canada and the US, you can pick whichever country. And then from there, it's all built. So every time you pick something, you're going to move on to the next step. Depending on your program, you can select your program, and then your program web URL does need to go in here. This is going to be like the truth source for anything this builds out. And then target audience selection, depending on if you're maybe like Shane was showing you, maybe you're wanting to target that 35 to 44 demographic, you can select the audience. All of the data that's been collected from people who have completed your or different things that are on your website actually will be part of how this is influenced. And then tone, it automatically will gravitate towards whatever tone is the comment, like the most common theme for your prospects that you've had in your system. But you can also switch them. So maybe you want to write something a little more analytical or a little more expressive. You can switch it depending on your kind of your tone or your desire for marketing. And then template selection. We have pre-built out some standard templates. These are across all of our clients' profiles. The unique thing is, though, you can build your own unique templates tailored for your school. So there are custom templates that you can go in and design. Maybe you're wanting something super short. Maybe you only want it to be like a 500-word little blurb about some program in your system, or maybe you want something a little bit longer. So you can pick and tailor it that way. From there, though, the neat thing with keyword generation is you can go in and you can put in your own keywords, or if maybe you're like, I don't know what are the best keywords right now, kind of going back to what Sasha was talking about with our costs and things like that in your competition, you can go in and pick, we recommend 3 to 4, but you can go in and pick whichever ones that are really interesting for you or what interests you the most based off of what you're maybe wanting to write about. Pitchy.
So China, just scroll up because this I think is an important chunk of it. So this will do keyword research within this tool and virtual advisor. We'll go do keyword research, scan the internet, um, and determine, hey, this is the volume we would expect from this search. This is how competitive it is, and allow us to kind of pick. Do we want we want to try to compete? Do we want to find niche keywords or niche keywords? That's what this view does?
Yes, so it can help you know where to compete. It's going to tell you how your competition is ranking, what your cost is going to be, how difficult it is to rank within the within your SEO strategy and things of that nature. And then it can also your intent. You can look at what the intent is and how that breaks down with SEO as well.
Wild.
And then from here, maybe you know, for example, I just put in one, but maybe you're like, I don't know what topic I want to do, what title I want this article or blog post to be. It will generate up to 20 different suggestions. You can read through them. If you don't like them, again, you can have it regenerate suggestions as well. So it really gives you kind of a tool belt of like, maybe you don't know what content to generate, but it will pull different things based off your keyword selection. Their template variables is great because it's going to automatically pull in different things. These can be built into your template. And some of the templates that we've already pre-built have these in there already. And then with deep research, it's going to always have your official program page. That's going to be its main source of truth. But then maybe you want to see, oh, go ahead, Shane.
Okay, so yeah, I don't want to. I know we're up against time, but I don't want to short shrift this one. So deep research, this is scanning the internet for articles that or reference articles that support the keyword we're going after, the topic, the program, the demographic, all that stuff ahead of this. So it's scanning and finding basically supporting materials that it can reference before it writes the content. Is that right?
Yes, and then down here, for example, where it says quotables, what this is it's information that it potentially will quote within your article. So then it will be cited within the article when it generates so that you already have a source cited back to it. So it's really unique. And like, let's say you wanted to look at this one or one of these, for example, you could open it, you can view it before you select it as well. So you don't have to worry about, oh, is this actually coming from maybe your competitor? Because once in a while that might happen because of how their URL is done. So you
Great.
can definitely look at what it's pulling before you do it.
So
And
this
from there,
allows us to pick the sources we want to reference. So we're picking credible ones.
yep. And then from there, it's going to generate content. One unique feature is, let's say you want it to, like in this template, for example, that was pre-built, it already has the hyperlinks in there. So it's going to automatically hyperlink. Maybe you want it to the college page, for example, for the program. Or if you don't like something in it, like there was a hyphen in here, I told it to remove it. You can get it to update it and it will generate the content again for you. And it will generate that section instead of just regenerating it all. And then it will also, you'll just have it update your footnotes. So that way, when you do produce the article, ultimately your footnotes will be updated as well.
And so this takes, you preloaded it. How front to back, how long does this take?
If you're really into it and you're wanting to really make sure it's tailored content, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. But if you're just wanting to produce something kind of quick, I would say maybe average of 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, and we're using this internally as part of our SEO strategy for clients. So Cheyenne, you're one of the people that does that in the company. So you're producing some content that you want to be rock solid for a client. Maybe it's half an hour to do this.
Yeah.
If you were to write this, right? So I'm like, hey, you got to go write this article, Cheyenne, even if you're using ChatGPT. How long would that take?
Hour and a half minimum.
Minimum. And if you're right, and really, if you're being thoughtful, I'd suggest probably gonna be longer than that. This might be half
Probably
a day
closer to 3.
here. And then you got to wait for inspiration, and then you procrastinate because writing's hard, and there's whatever. There's also our goal in this is to empower both our team internally to be able to produce more SEO/GEO, and the GEO is the generative engine optimization. So when you do a Google search now, and Google's got that little AI box at the top that kind of summarizes things, or you go in ChatGPT and say, hey, what's the best cosmetology school in part of Florida I'm in? It's going to have some recommendations. And increasingly, we're seeing that as a driver of traffic to client sites, right?
Mhm.
GEO, as I understand it, GEO really likes these footnotes and references. They like to know where this is. So they're like, authority and quality of content is extremely important to rank, especially with the AI engines. Do I
Yes,
have that right?
the more quality, the higher quality of your content, the better it will rank ultimately.
So what we're really endeavoring to do in this AI tool is to give clients a way of producing extremely high quality, thoughtful, relevant, useful content that supports traffic generation, both traditional and through the emerging search engines.
Mhm.
And does this allow them to go fire the little SEO company they've got on the side, generating 5 tips to be a beauty school kind of content?
It does. It's a tool belt. It's something you can keep and it's very niche. We have some other ones as well. I'll go through them really fast, Shane.
Yeah, great. So okay, so you can cut the SEO vendor
Mhm.
and do it yourself, or we'll do it. If you're already a client, we'll do it for you.
So email builder is really unique. Maybe you're looking at a certain kind of campaign. Maybe you want to nurture that lost lead. So from
Yeah.
here, you'll go through, pick the program, target audience, and your tone, just like in the blog post generator. It will
Yeah.
automatically generate some of these answers for you. It will, and then if let's say you want to add something, you can go ahead and type that in there. And then ultimately, what it's going to do is it's going to already generate an email for you. There's a nice little copy button. You can copy it with the styling in it. You can paste it right into an email, and you can fire off an email to your prospective or your
Okay,
lost lead.
let's slow this one down a bit and break it down. Go back up a bit. Okay, so same, we won't go through. So you pick your program and your target audience and the kind of tone that you want. And again, it's pulling that data from our understanding, the system's understanding your prospects based on those surveys and that prospect intelligence view, right? So that understanding is automatically preloaded into this AI template. You pick a kind of email you want that's going to nurture a lost lead, right? And then go down to the questions. So it's now preloading answers to questions that a copywriter would need to know to write this kind of thing. So what stage is the lead at? It's filled that in. Now we can edit it, right? If when it's
Mhm.
filled in doesn't match, we can change that. But it gives us a starting point. What's the common objection? Hey, this is pulling from our understanding, but they can update that if they want. Value proposition, etc. So then it produces an email. And how long does this one take?
This is less than 5 minutes.
Okay, so you produce a really high quality email that could be built into your flow in a couple minutes.
Mhm.
And if you wanted to get more nuance, like one kind of, we didn't talk about this at the beginning of the webinar, but like our view is the future is like it's a one-to-one future in that it's ultimately where all this ends up is marketing is totally unique to the individual. So like in this future AI world, when Cheyenne gets in our world as a prospect, there's a campaign, it's Cheyenne's campaign, right? It's the emails that are targeting things that she cares about. It's probably a website that she would go to that's like just about her stuff, right? That's different than my stuff, that's different than Sasha's. That's where this all ends up ultimately. We're not there yet. It'll be a while, but that's kind of the inevitable conclusion. What this tool does, what I'm hearing, is to allow us to like start to build campaigns with that in mind. So
Mhm.
the example would be we ask the social styles, right? Are you a driver, you analytical, whatever, right? And so we can kind of get a beat on what kind of person are you. So I'm a driver, right, primarily. So I'm like let's get to it kind of a person. And Sasha's quite analytical, right? So what I want is, okay, what's the next thing? Let's move this along. What's a bit of proof? And then I can make a decision. What Sasha needs is like a lot of proof and data and facts and things that she would view as non-manipulative. Is that fair, Sasha?
Absolutely.
So like the campaign to me is different than the campaign to Sasha, right?
Mhm.
And so this allows you to write iterations of um, like nurture campaigns that could then be triggered by understanding who that personality type is, right? So somebody
Mhm.
fills a quiz and identifies a driver, they get the driver campaign, the analytics get the analytics campaign kind of thing, which is a step towards being able to uh, at least customize comms to the human being, right? And respect the nature of that human being we're trying to help. It's wild. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think
And
you have one more quick thing.
yeah, one more quick thing. So we hear it all the time from our clients. They want images. They need images. It doesn't work for their website. So our image generator tool, you can pick this aspect ratio you need, your program. You can pick exactly how you want the photo to look. You can even customize it if you have a specific school color in mind. And then you can generate a prompt or you can write your own prompt. And then in real time, within maybe a minute, you have images and you
Wow. So,
download them and they're ready to go. And they're doing pretty well overall.
wow. So for that email campaign where we need a group of students standing around some piece
Mhm.
of whatever, we could just produce that. AI could produce that within our system, lickety split.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. I know we're rushing, folks. There's a lot to get through in one session, like an hour, unfortunately. Okay. Where are we? Oh, we had an AI poll. Let's do that, and then we'll do a Q&A. Okay, if you could take one task off your plate tomorrow, what would you choose? Email campaigns, blog posts, lead nurturing, campaign performance. So please fill the poll, and then we have time for a couple questions. So if anybody has a question, please put it in the chat or the Q&A section. Okay, let's see what the poll result is. Okay, writing email campaigns, blog posts. There's interest in that. Bit of interest in lead nurturing and okay, blog posts. Great. We got you. Okay, folks. Listen, it's we're just about out of time, but if there's any quick questions, now's the time. And I think Sophie had some questions that had come in earlier, but I can't remember them. So hopefully she can maybe put that in the chat. Okay. Oh, and does VA integrate with CRMs? Market, yes. Okay. So great question. We currently integrate in a two-way manner with both Lead Squared and the Great Exposure Campus Login. So what that means with Campus Login and Lead Squared, enrollment data gets pulled automatically. So it's a two-way connection. We're working on integrations on other CRMs. There's a very easy way to import interviews and enrollment, so that can be done manually very easily. But we have two integrations with those two products so far. What reports or data would you recommend we share with leadership to prove marketing or admissions direct impact on enrollment? Oh, wow. That's a tricky one. Our view, like we really like transparency. And so part of the point of this reporting system is so that our clients and us can have a shared understanding of what's true, right? So with the clients where we do services for them, right? We're running their paid search or running their website. We're all looking at the same thing and trying to kind of truth seek and figure out how to get better together. So we really recommend that as an approach. Some I don't know, marketers companies like to kind of hide stuff and control what is presented to the client so they can control the narrative. I just, that's not how we operate. I don't like that. Okay. Anyway, I think that's it for questions. Folks, I hope this has been informative. Thank you very much for attending. And if you're version 6 of the product is now available. We've been rolling that out to clients. If we haven't talked to you yet about it, if you don't have access yet, please get in touch and we'll prioritize getting that done. If you're not currently a client and you're interested in learning more, please reach out and we'd be happy to give you a demo and see if this would be a thing that would help your school succeed. Sasha and Cheyenne, thanks so much for
Thank you.
joining today. And folks, have a great rest of the day.